So I have a new take apart and repair video. It's been something I've been wanting to take apart for a while, but it's never been quite the right time. But now is the right time. So, something special. This beauty. Oh, this beauty. Let's lay it down so you can see it better. This thing is hard to get in the picture. KitchenAid mixer. Model G, Troy, New York, Troy, Ohio, USA, made in the 1930s, I believe. KitchenAid manufacturing. So, this was upstairs in my dad's shop, collecting dust and oil. This beauty has an actual gearbox that switches gears. It's kind of stiff and it's been leaking grease. I have not plugged it in yet to see if it works. I'm going to take it apart first and make sure that nothing is going to break if I turn it on. So this is rated at 1/10 of a horsepower, saying it's 110 volts and 3.2 amps. RPM 1750. That's what it says on there. So I think that's a lot smaller of a rating than the new mixers. What are they, 600 watts, which I think is a lot less than the 1/10 of a horsepower. You could do the math and figure it out, but one thing is this is a real 1/10 of a horsepower. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, that must be the centrifugal switch. It looks like it's an induction motor. A screw-in fuse. It says use 8 amp fuse. This is a 30 amp fuse. It's what they had. Who would have thought this thing would actually work? Those are just twisted together in there. So, this is why I wanted to take it apart. This apparently used to be the grease. I think. I don't know what else that would be. Or it's 100-year-old cookie dough. So I got the screws out. It's coming apart slowly. Maybe not sure. Helps if you remove all the screws. One buried underneath all the grease. I bet it comes apart much better with that screw out. So this nasty wad of grease was covering that last screw there. I should have pried that off first. Look at that big block. Jeez. Good thing I didn't try to turn it on. That wouldn't have done anything good. So I'm working on putting the KitchenAid mixer back together again. Forgot to take out all the screws, and I cracked the casing down here. So I got some Super Alloy 1. We'll see if it actually works as advertised. But I'm going to use my little die grinder to clean that out a little bit so it has a place to bond to. Well, that's interesting. Just popped off a big chunk of that. So guess I will go to plan B for fixing this. Don't want to blast off anymore. That explains this marking. That's must be from somebody else heating it up and it exploding. So yeah, well, live and learn. I guess now I got to clean that stuff off, and I'll use probably epoxy putty. Won't be as good, but what can you do? You can feel it start getting warm once it starts reacting. So some pretty darn nice gears. See, they're machined. Obviously not powdered metal. Powdered metal didn't exist then. Not the greatest surface finish on there, but certainly solid and no signs of wear, or very little signs of wear. I don't really know how much use this KitchenAid got, but certainly in pretty good shape now. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, right in the middle, and 3. No, it's 1, 2, 3. One thing that threw me for a loop, I don't know if I got a video of this before, but this pin makes it so you can only shift when the switch is off. So now I can't shift. The one plastic part, or quasi-plastic part on the whole part, is that gear there. So the one plastic piece on the whole machine, at least as far as I can tell, is this gear. I bought food grade white bearing grease. I could have bought the KitchenAid stuff and considered doing that, but this was the same price for more of it, and it's, as far as I can tell, pretty much the same stuff. For incidental contact with food, blah blah blah. Don't really eat it, but if it touches your hands and you get your food, it's not the end of the world. Okay, I just realized what a piece of this is for. There's a screw that comes up here, and it pushes on this guy, slides back and forth on that little slot, and that controls the amount of tooth engagement for the gears. So that's adjustable. Pushes on this rod, so you can change, theoretically, without opening up the machine, the how the gears engage, which is, you don't see that these days. So here's how the planetary works. The gear here, shaft that rides around, it's actually even balanced. It's got weight staked in there. This guy has a steel gear screwed onto the casing, and shaft that comes up, and there's a taper pin that goes through the shaft to hold everything in place. Too much grease in this section because it can leak out into the, or could. Alright, it's time for the moment of truth. Got the KitchenAid back together. It'll be the first time plugging it in and seeing if it works. So let's see. First of all, plug it in. No sparks. Alright, on switch. Hums but does not turn. So it's not turning on, and I think I know why. Focus. Won't be able to actually see it. So these guys are the centrifuge weights, pull that ring away and disconnect. So I think this is just, well, it is really dirty. So I'm going to clean that and clean that surface, and then hopefully it works. Alright, attempt number 2. Got that polished up in the back. Now let's see what happens. Look at that. That's speed 1. obviously need to clean it a bunch before my wife will let me make cookies with it, or bread, but yeah, it works, shifts nicely now. I am going to put more grease in the front gearbox, but I can do that by just taking off the switch cover. Yeah, that switch is nice and smooth.